Yes.
Okay, cool.
Well, let me do the YouTube stream on our Humanitec channel.
Yeah, it's already telling me you're now live on YouTube.
Look at it.
God.
Why? You get more pressure.
No pressure. It's like, who doesn't love to be live on YouTube?
I don't see your microphone, Clement. Like you decided to ditch it from the last time.
Yeah, I thought that microphones are great for recording and headsets are great for being live. That's my rationale up to now, because it's like when I'm in a situation where I interact with people, I tend to be more, and then I hit the microphone, it goes all over the place, the sound is horrible. Yeah, no good.
Cool. But we are live. Welcome everyone who joins this informal conversation between Clemens and I. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Drop in the chat the city or the place you're joining us from. Just the microphone we were talking about before. Clemens has some strong opinions about using it during our workshop sessions, but we're gonna get to it after the session. Today, we're going to talk about building a minimum viable platform with Humanitec in just 14 days. It is crazy, Clemens, no? Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I love to do it. I love crazy things.
But yeah, before we get started, so we're going to have 30-minute content and then 15-minute Q&A. Also, we're going to share these slides and the replay with everyone who registered. So feel free to share it with your colleagues or ask any questions if you have so in the Q&A chat, and we'll get to that right after. And yeah, that's it from my side. Clemens, over to you to the crazy topic of today's evening, I guess.
Thank you very much, Maria. So, hello, everybody. My name is Clemens and I'm a platform architect at Humanitec. So that's
It
the reason why
rhymes.
I'm here tonight. I never noticed. Geez, how to throw me a curveball. So,
Don't think too much about it, sorry.
right. And today I'm here for you with the topic of building an MVP in 14 days. Um, Obviously with Humanitec. Although I must confess, you could do it without Humanitec as well. I suppose marketing doesn't want me to say that, but it's the truth. And there are things that I really like, and truth is among them, and clarity as well. Um, so let's see if I can shine some light on why this crazy sounding idea isn't so crazy after all, and what and how we're doing while we're doing this. All right, so I try to get us all on the same page as quickly as possible. And to start with that, we should be on the same page of why we are doing this. Um, and the interesting thing is when I was asking myself, why are you even trying to build a platform in the first place? It wasn't really easy to find an answer. And after quite some discussions and some interesting evenings, we came to the conclusion that actually building platforms is mostly about making the building of software a commodity, or utilizing more commodity components during the build of software. So what is that about? If you're a developer, you tend, when to start a new project, you always look around. What can I reuse? What have I done before? Yeah. And I mean, IT tends to be reuse heavy anyway, because it's so easy, right? We're working with computers. Copy paste works for us. If you're building houses, copy paste is still an option. You can repeat the same schematics to build more than one house. but it's still a lot more hard to do it than just copy pasting on a computer, right? Um, and interestingly enough, that pattern that developers use so much is not repeated as much or as easily when you are thinking about infrastructure. And this is a little bit the angle that we are approaching. So building software should be more commoditized. You should be able as a developer to focus on solving the new and the hard problems. And for all of the other stuff, you should be able to just pull something out from the shelf and use it. Okay, so how do you get there? I propose, I don't know if you hear my dog barking, but my dog is barking like mad. Let me quickly let her out of this room. The joys of home office. Um, so um, I suppose it's a good idea to use three components from our portfolio and also three steps to get there. It matches so well because we kind of thought about the plan first and then build the stuff you need to actually execute it. So first of all, you need to have an abstraction. Why? Because you need to focus the developers on the actual problem. So the new and the hard problems, not the commodities. And for that, you need to have an abstraction layer in place that allows developers to reason on a very easy level what they need and to tell the platform that you're building, hey, this is what I need. And the platform obviously should respond in the right way. That's where the standardized step comes into play. If you have a brownfield estate, which is interesting mixed, then you know that you're probably fighting against configuration drift. You're fighting against hundreds of invariants for the same kind of thing. Yeah. Um, and what we try to provide you with the orchestrator is a way that allows you to standardize easily and also not only to start right, but also to keep right. But more on that later. And in the end, because you also need to sell this initiative that you're running, and you also want to provide crucial insights on your runtime estate, you want to visualize all of that. All right. So if you stick to the plan, abstract, standardize, visualize, then this will get you somewhere. So just so you have an idea what I'm talking about, and I'll promise we'll get more into the overview and into the 14 days topic really quickly now. If I say you need to abstract, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah, the developer must be able to say, hey, I want to have a database of type Postgres. I need to have a storage bucket of type S3, and I need to have a DNS name because I simply hate typing IP addresses. Yeah, and the platform must be able to respond to that abstract ask in the right way. Because you want to be able to have those standards to deliver onto that abstract ask. If you try to make the developer configure, you're already going away from standards, right? Then we could talk about how many standards do you actually need. An interesting topic, and there is no universal or right answer on that one. I suppose as many as needed, the least you can do with. Yeah, that would be my recommendation. But don't start too hard on yourself. Start somewhere. You can always adjust later and standardize more. Right? All right. So how does that come together? If the developer asks in an abstract way for his Postgres database here, right, then there must be somebody, and in this case, it's the orchestrator who responds to this ask. And the platform engineers have been preparing the orchestrator to respond in the right way. That's basically how the interaction is planned, right? Developers ask the machine. The machine is important in this case because, first of all, you want it to do the same thing over and over again, so you don't want a human to respond to that, like a ticket working machine. And the second thing is, as soon as it's a machine, you can cut all of the wait times out, right? So self-service becomes a reality. Developers don't need to wait anymore. And what the machine should answer has been taught by the platform engineers here. Like, hey, all of the workloads should be observed by Datadog because that's our observability solution. And developers shouldn't need to reason about that or need to configure that. It should just be injected here so that it all works, right? And as soon as that all comes together and is deployed in the right way, then hopefully everybody is happy. And that's the platform's job. So what will be built? Humanitec has a clear idea of what a great starting point to build your platform is. And that is our reference architectures. Let me show you one first, and then I show you also where you can find them. So this would be one. This is the AWS edition, right? And there are a few things to note here. First of all, the world is split into 5 planes. And there is rhyme and reason behind that, but I do not have enough time to go into all of the details tonight. Yeah, but feel free to hit me up on communication channels or just go to the place where you can download the stuff and get the white paper. Everything is explained in minuscule detail. And the idea behind that is as soon as you know what plane you are in, you get to the black boxes and they represent capabilities. And inside you have logos and they can be exchanged almost freely. Yeah, that's also the reason why all of the reference architectures look eerily similar. Even if you change a lot of things, the general direction is still applicable. Yeah. And in this case, we are using the AWS edition, which is completely terraformed. So the whole thing you see here is available as code, which allows you to actually start your platforming adventure in about 2 hours. I can safely say that because I've been live streaming for 2 hours and I did install from zero a reference architecture and did some other stuff. So if I can do that and do some other stuff as well in 2 hours, I can safely say you will be able to get the reference architecture done in 2 hours. Okay, so where can you find that stuff? Let me quickly show you. If you go to humanitec.com/reference architecture, so that's the first choice. I tend to go there more often, as it seems. You will see reference architectures for IDPs. Yeah, AWS, Azure, GCP, Red Hat OpenShift. More to come. Yeah, if you have specific needs or requirements, please let me know. And we can see if we can get the next reference architecture exactly to your liking. Why is to your liking important? Because there you go, fork AWS repo. If I push that button, I will be sent over to GitHub. And as you can see, it all starts with the main TF here. So all I need to do is follow the description here. And you will get your reference architecture up and running really quickly. And that is literally a necessity if you want to do this in 14 days. Yeah. The idea is to start here, and then you have 14 days to get the first configuration right for the first project to live on here, and then iterate. So what are good qualities that you actually need to look at when you have that in place? Because this is the MVP of a platform, but a platform is no proof, right? A platform is only a proof in the eyes of the people that should hopefully use it if you have something running on top of the platform successfully. So part of your MVP initiative must be your first application or your first team, so to speak. So an MVP is representative. So you can't just take Hello World. It doesn't work. Yeah? You need to choose a team from your company that is actually in regard as being able to say, okay, this is good stuff or this is bad stuff, right? So somebody who can lend credibility to your initiative. And also you need to have the basic plumbing in place, of course, so that it feels representative. It needs to be repeatable. Yeah. Repeatable means if you go through that process with one team, you should be able to look at all the nooks and crannies and say, okay, if I go through it with the second team, that's the plan. That's how it works. Iterative, I already said that. Don't try to get everything right on the first shot. It's completely okay for an MVP to not be production grade for 80% of your teams because they will be using a ton of things. Yeah. But there is for sure at least 20% of teams in your company who are using exactly the same infrastructure, exactly the same programming language, exactly a lot of things. Yeah. Aim for such a case. So you can cover some ground and be repeatable before you need to actually get the next stuff right. So next stuff means, for example, if I say most of the people in my company use Postgres as a database and I get that right, well, there are other people who probably use MySQL. I probably get that one right as well. But while I am already onboarding the people who use Postgres, yeah. So I basically don't run out of work until everybody's onboarded, but I need to keep a flow, so to speak. Yeah, and hopefully it's innovative as well. So you have a pioneering team who has the feeling that they are now on the cutting edge of what is coming for your company. That's the right spirit. It should be inspiring for your contributors. So they feel like they can go out and also talk about that experience and get more people engaged to want to jump on the platform. So an MVP is also a few things not. Yeah. So high compliance scenarios. Oh, I love them. It's so great if you know exactly how the world should be laid out, right? It makes things really easy if it's black and white. But obviously, if your world is in a high compliance area, then all of those black white switches at once form a highly complex scenario. And capturing all of that on the first shot is just unmanageable in 14 days, right? So don't do that. Um, don't look for advanced architectures, right? Because it's great. You can do all of that, but the first shot should be sensibly complex, but still easy to do. You want to get there fast and then have momentum, right? And getting there fast, 14 days, that's going to surprise and impress people. If you come that fast out of the gates, you're almost sure to catch attention and people want to jump on that train because it seems to be really fast moving, right? So advanced resource configurations and observability fall into the same bucket. It's just not feasible to get that done in the first 14 days. Yeah. But it's totally okay to do that on the next few iterations. So how long does it take? I've said 14 days for so many times. Why am I saying this now? Well, oops, because of that. How long does it take? We always try to also inspire people to do it in 14 days. Sometimes reality strikes and you have reasons why you can't do it in 14 days. That's also completely okay as long as you have a plan and you keep momentum. And having a plan constitutes this here. So we generally say you have 4 phases for your MVP. And if you stick to the plan and you keep the momentum according to the rule set that your company rolls, yeah, then taking a little bit longer is not a death sentence at all. There's only one way to really receive a death sentence for your platforming endeavor, and that is losing momentum. Almost any platforming scenarios I've seen where people lost momentum once and need to gather it again, they die. Why that is the case is pretty easy to explain. As soon as you lose momentum, people lose faith in that initiative to succeed. And all out of a sudden, different things get a higher priority. You lose resources, you probably lose people who get reassigned somewhere else, and you lose faith from the people who can get you back to the things that you need. Yeah. And as soon as that happens, you're probably off to starting something else. So keeping momentum, really important. Good plan looks a little bit like this. Phase one, find out what you really need. Get the fundamental training for the platform team done. Yeah. Design the architecture exactly to your needs. Phase two, set it up and also get the right infrastructure going. MVP, minimum viable. So one database is fine, one message broker is fine, one caching technology is fine. You get it, right? Don't onboard too much. Onboard the stuff you need for your first team. If you've chosen your first team wisely and it is representative for, I don't know, the next teams as the next 10 teams as well, then you have enough time to get the next infrastructure prepared for the platform so that everything keeps the same, yeah, self-service and level of convenience for the teams that are being onboarded. Next phase, workload setup. We always talk about workloads when we talk about applications. So this means get the people already on the platform, get them engaged, get their feedback, learn from them, learn with them, and see that it all clicks together. Phase four, learn how not to do it only in development, but also at least staging. Who knows, depending on the criticality of the project, possibly even production. Yeah. But the important part there is to learn how to promote between environments. If you can go from development to staging, most people will feel already confident, okay, if they can do that, they can go to production as well because they demonstrated they can jump. And then you're basically there. So you're basically there. How do I know that I'm there or that I'm successful? Well, really easy. Articulate problem. I love that one. It's really important that you measure your status quo before you build the MVP. Then you do it. Then you measure the outcome. And that's basically your credibility. If you have tangible results where people can say, okay, like that before, like that now, if I extrapolate that to 10 teams, wow, great. And then you not only have your credibility for success, you also already have your argument done for scalability. So how does that look like? And I feel of like there's somebody in the background chanting Dora, Dora. No. Why? Let me possibly explain that quickly. Dora metrics are great. I love them. But what they actually do is they measure the outcomes of processes. They measure the quality of the outcomes of processes, which means they measure when the processes have been completed. And that means if you want to measure your status quo, you need to take a lot of time before you have a relevant data set because you need completed processes. And at the end, you can have a great assessment of how a certain period of time has been, And if you go through that again, you can for sure compare, but it all takes a lot of time. That's what we have when we talk about a lagging indicator. It will only tell you that something's going off only after the fact. What you possibly want to have is more of a leading indicator. So something that tells you that you're moving in the wrong direction before the process has actually been completed. And this is not yet completely published, but we are working on a new framework for exactly that. And if you want to run your MVP together with us, then we will help you apply that framework in the best way possible. I can already tell you the name. It's going to be MOPET, Measuring Operational Performance in Engineering Teams. And it's going to look a lot like this. It's not yet finished, yeah. But I am very positive that it's not going to look a lot different. So there are a few things here. Let me quickly debug that. So complexity store. How many different configurations did you have before? So how complex is your world? How many invariants of Postgres are you running? And later, how many do you need now? Yeah. So how much complexity is being standardized out of your world by the platforming endeavor? And by reduction of complexity, obviously things can be streamlined. You need to do maintenance on less things and so on and so forth. It leads to an actual very positive effect. Autonomy score. How autonomous are your teams actually? Can developers go and actually request their own infrastructure? How long does it take a normal developer to go from I want to have a new S3 compatible bucket to I have my S3 compatible bucket in all systems from dev to staging to prod and can use it. It's there, it's configured, I can use it. How long does it take you before and after the platform has been built? Automation, well, that one is a no-brainer, right? How many things are actually fully automated? But the automation score is a little bit different here because the idea is to say the more automation, the less manual after work. So more automation, less tickets. And tickets always bog people down because they have to wait and they tend to go to bespoke tasks or artisan tasks, one-offs, not standardized. Yeah, so that's what we're reasoning about here. Service creation score, time it takes you to get a service ready for shipping to production, including all stuff, and onboarding. Time to first PR or pull request for a new developer that enters the company. Time to the 10th pull request for a new developer that enters the company. So are you able to do that efficiently and quickly or not? And the interesting thing about all of those things, those numbers are, you do not need to introduce new measurements and measure for a long time before you have an idea. A lot of that can be anecdotal, yeah, and other things can be for sure taken directly out of your current systems, like how many tickets are you receiving a year? How high is that number? Your ticketing system is going to tell you that for sure, right? Autonomy, how many touch points are there? Well, just take a few people who actually execute that process and talk them through and note it down. Complexity. You can find that out by just going over your source code repositories. Yeah. So that's all pretty doable. And you can get there quickly and have actual numbers. And then you can see and extrapolate after you've done your MVP. And as I said, that gives you a very different form of credibility if you're reasoning about hard numbers. And also if you're doing this after 14 days. And I don't know if I have instilled that much confidence in you already by just talking you through the process a little bit and giving you a few tidbits here and there um, on how that works out. But I can tell you that we're doing this regularly. We have a cohort of customers that we take through that every month. And the rationale is we're having more success than failure, a lot more. So if you don't trust me completely, then take me up on it, become a customer, and we see, or become a prospect, I should say. Sorry, customer is one step later. We usually do the MVP, and if it works out, you become a customer. If it doesn't work out, you don't. As we tend to get enough customers, can't be so wrong. Um, so that's the one thing. And the other thing is, there is rhyme and reason to that. If you start small enough, right? Remember um, a few criteria on how you choose what goes in the MVP and not. If you start on a well-known and automatically set upable starting point that you just need to customize to the right degree, yeah. If you get your first people in the right thinking early enough into that endeavor, then you can get to an outcome really quickly. It's not magic, it's literally just execution. All right, so let me have a look. I see there have been people been writing in the chat. And also probably I have some questions already. Who knows? Will you be sharing the recording with the attendees? Yes, we will. Let's see. I think I'm through with my 30 minutes. I don't know, I need a more official ending melody or something. Maria, what do you think?
I think you do, or a slide that would work. The end.
Oh, the end is nigh. Here we go.
Cool. Thanks. So, what do you think is the best next step if somebody wants to start an MVP program and kind of with Humanitec, obviously?
Mhm. Yes, of course. Don't do an MVP without us. No, I said in the beginning, I like being to put out the truths there. Um, and also when you think about the reference architectures, every icon which is on the reference architectures is up for the change, right? You could also swap Humanitec technology out. There is nobody stopping you from doing that, right? Um, and it might even work. It's just going to be that you're on your own to figure out how it works, right? Um, so, what would be the next best step? I would still go to reference architecture and I would take it because these things are the smallest common denominator from I don't know how many platforming attempts. I am very sure that there is not everything on there that you probably want to have as parts of your platform or capabilities of your platform. But I'm 100% sure that there's nothing on there that you don't want to have. Yeah, so they are a great starting point. Nevertheless, proven to work, I would take one, I would install it or stand it up. And then I would take a look around. And the next thing is I would probably talk to Humanitec and say like, hey, I started that stuff. It looks good. Um, but I'm not so sure on how to now get my process or get my endeavor to the next level. So can we do something together? And most probably we will answer, yes, we can. So that would be, from my perspective, the most feasible thing. because I always like to just try things out first, right? If nobody's stopping me, I'm going to just toy around with it a little bit. Like, yeah, twist the magic cube until everything's mixed up. And I go like, I have no idea how to get the colors sorted again. Okay, Humanitec, please help me. That would be my strategy.
Cool. But the idea is that it should also work out as you follow this reference architecture implementations. Clemens actually did. I think a few weeks ago we did the reference architecture implementation live stream. So you can check it out.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Ellie is asking if we are not going to see a real life demo.
Sorry, what?
A real life demo.
Ah, a real life demo. No, not today. I need to keep some stuff as well for other occasions. No, to be honest, it is like if you want to see a demo that really doesn't fly in 5 minutes, right? And if I want to take you through the idea of how to start that, how to go through that, you see me do it in right about 30 minutes, but I think I couldn't credibly do a lot less. And I think for a good demo, I also need about 30 minutes, right? So I can't just do it like this. That would not do the thing justice. So when? Well, one of the next sessions would be good, or while you could also go to our homepage and see there's lots of videos also there that you can find in our tutorial section. Or you would like to have a personal treatment, then of course, once again, engage with me or with our people on the comms channels and get your personal session.
You can request a demo, or we have another entry points. But I'm just looking at the our events calendar, and we next week we have the workshop more around developer centric experience and boosting your productivity on the 28th of February. So I'm gonna talk to Clemens to have a demo there. Cool. There is a question. Can I have reference documentation about CD pipeline Humanitec deploy?
Yes. Our our whole documentation is found under developer.humanitec.com. And you can see also what our deployment features are able to do there. I guess there is two things to note. One is like how the orchestrator works completely to generate those concrete configuration sets, and then create the infrastructure, the configuration from that, and deploy on top. That's one thing. And the other thing is a feature called pipelines that you could look at. And that is basically how you get one of those discrete points in time that represents a complete deployment to an environment. So progressing things to environments. That's what pipelines does. Developer.humanitec.com. Let me type that into the chat so you don't have to go hunting for it. All right. Anything else I can help out with tonight? Apart from saying a few more times, call to action. Talk to us. Get your demo. Sorry for being a little bit dramatic there. It's just really that I can't do both things in one session. It's not enough time for it.
Cool. I guess that's a wrap, and we're gonna send over the slides and webinar replay to everyone who registered. Thank you, Clemens, for driving the session, and hope everyone has a safe and great end of the day. And yeah, build platforms and don't overcomplicate things. I guess that's the takeaway from today's session. Anything from you, Clemens?
I don't know. I only have very, I don't know the English word for that. The German word would be kitschig. Things in my
I don't know
mind.
the
So
translation to that either.
yeah.
Cool.
So no, I wish everybody a wonderful evening. Um, do crazy things. Enjoy what you do. Build platforms, and speak to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.